Good evening, everyone. A big hello and welcome to iwill Week 20 Slides in 20 Seconds event, uh, which is inspired by Pechacucha. My name is Matthew from Volunteer Now in Northern Ireland, and I'm joined here this evening with iwill Ambassador Bill. Today I have, oh no, I've already read that, but the 20 slides in 20 seconds is part of a series of events taking place for iwill Week. We are looking forward to the next decade of youth social action. Make sure to visit the movement's website, iwill.org.uk, to see the full listing of events. Over to you, Bill.
To warm us all up, we want you to find the emoji button in the chat. Once you've found the emoji button, locate the thumbs up emoji. Enter the thumbs up emoji if you've done any of these following options. You are enjoying the iwill Week 2023 so far. If this is your first iwill Week 2023 event, or if you've tweeted or posted or shared about the iwill Week on your social channels, if not, why haven't you? Come on. So also put a little thumbs up if you're excited this evening for the event. Now that you've found the reaction / emoji button, we want to encourage you to use these throughout the session this evening. We know it takes a lot of work to prepare for this, and we know there are some nerves in the room. So please do feel free to use the chat box to show our speakers some love and support throughout the evening. We always aim to hold a positive and supportive community space. So if you like what you've seen, what you've heard, please do let them know.
Back to me. Yes. So tonight's event, as I've already said, is inspired by Pechacucha. So a wee bit of background on Pechacucha. Pechacucha was devised in Tokyo in 2003 as a way for young designers to meet, network, and show their work in public. Pechacucha events now take place across the world in about 1,200 cities, drawing their name from the Japanese term for the sound of chit-chat. Pechacucha events are based on a simple presentation format. Speakers present 20 slides for 20 seconds each. It's a form that makes presentations concise and keeps things moving at a rapid pace. So there could be chaos and entertainment this evening, folks. Just keep your eyes peeled. Tonight, we have seven lovely presentations from a mixture of iwill ambassadors and partners. Each of the speakers have been tasked with giving us their take on belonging. What they present is up to them, as long as it relates to the theme in some way, with their own unique take on the theme of belonging.
So, to start us off this evening, first up we have Sammy, who's an iwill ambassador. So Sammy's a 20-year-old asylum seeker who moved to the UK at the age of 10. He spends most of his time doing social action. He's a school governor, charity trustee, a young researcher, also a youth voice and mental health advocate.
Born in Britain, even though today I call this place home, a place that I was meant to find, even though I didn't know it was set in stone. I'm Sammy, and I was born in Karachi, yet I am from Balochistan, a place none like other, a place many come from, but barely many know, a place torn apart, somewhere that's past defines what it is today. Belonging wasn't ever a feeling I struggled with when younger. I had my head in the clouds, the stars and the world being a utopia in my mind, a perfect world without any evil, or at least I hoped. I had to travel across the world with a smile plastered across my face, the unknown future enslaved by my optimistic imagination. The reality was that I became an asylum seeker without ever knowing why. That's when I came to the UK, the place where dreams are supposed to come true. A place I thought I could be whoever I wanted to be, without any judgment by anyone who surrounds me. Though the idea of belonging came crashing down. I was from nowhere in particular, and most people couldn't even point out Balochistan on a map. In case you didn't know, it's somewhere in South Asia, near the border split between Iran, Pakistan and Afghanistan. I felt like an imposter living in a constructed reality. I didn't belong anywhere. Not here, not there, not anywhere at all. I felt alone. Completely alone. Trapped within my own mind, slowly sinking beneath my thoughts, getting lonelier and lonelier with age. Feeling misunderstood, or actually, not understood at all. I just felt lonely, and I felt like I did not belong. Sure, they were the good moments, where I felt like I belonged along the way, for a little while at least. They came and they went, with the turbulent nature of life. I never saw someone like me on the big screen, or even the little screen, to be fair. I was special in a way I didn't want to be. I was different without a choice. I was, and still am, an asylum seeker without having my say in it. A world where everything is so interconnected and intertwined with the touch of a few buttons, yet my identity was completely hidden. It still may be. I didn't know where to call my home. I thought I decided when I could call someplace my home, but apparently that's not the reality for a lot of people. That doesn't mean that I ignored the beauty that surrounded me. I've grown to admire the mundane things, like the gentle winter breeze, or the blessing of rain after a drought, or just feeling time tick by with patience, feeling my emotions as they come and go. I found belonging through the thousands of pages of stories that never run out at the library, the characters I imagined to be like me. These are brave warriors, soldiers, dreamers, literally anyone. I found belonging in the hundreds of trees by my house as I run through to get away from reality in the dead of night. The adrenaline rushing through my bones. Running is something that makes me feel like I belong. I found belonging by giving myself to the world. There's always something to do out there to leave my unknown mark into our destiny, to change the life of another, to make someone else happy. People have been the pieces of my life that have been my home. It's the company of others that makes me feel like I belong. These people are always around me. They come and they go. The nature of human connection will always be here. The friends that hold my hand, the teacher that explained the question more times than I asked, the mentors that gave me their time to see me grow, the family that makes sure that I eat, to the people who let me cry on their shoulders, even the strangers with the warmest of smiles and hearts. Those are the ones that make me feel like I belong. It's the community that makes me who I am today. It's my community, and it's where I belong. This may not have been the place I was born, but it will always be the place where I feel that I belong. It's where My heart feels a warm glow, and I'm safe to be whoever I want. Life is a puzzle, but as long as we have each other, there's always somewhere out there where we all feel like we belong. We just have to make sure to believe in that. That's me. I'm Sammy. And I feel like I belong wherever I have people I trust.
Wow, what a way to start this evening's proceedings. Absolutely hard hitting count on belonging from Sammy. I particularly liked where he said that he'd found his belonging through the books and the trees and the whole surroundings. Really, really nice. Any thoughts, Bill?
Well, it was really moving, actually. But yeah.
Brilliant. I'm just looking here at the comments, some of the coming through here about chills at being amazing and so powerful. And I think, that's probably felt by everybody. So I say, what a brilliant way to start us off this evening. So I know Sammy's not here with us this evening, but we really would like to extend our thanks to him for his account and for sharing his story on belonging. Next up, I have the pleasure of introducing a young activist from my own wee corner of the UK. Use the comments to give a massive welcome to Lauren, please.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. So today I'm here to talk to you about belonging even when you feel like you don't, and my journey to finding how to belong in situations when you can feel really, really out of place. I'm really excited to speak about this as it's a topic that's really personal to me, and I hope that you can all take some lessons from it. So about me, my name is Lauren Bond. I'm 17 and I'm from North Antrim. I'm an iwill ambassador, the youth MP for North Antrim, the international officer for SSUNI, a member of the Nicky Youth Panel, the Northern Ireland Social Action Group representative, and a Coronation Champion Award winner. So fake it till you make it is a phrase every single one of us has probably heard at one time or another, and despite its popular use, a phrase I strongly disagree with. Too often we define belonging by our ability to fit in. However, what if it's our ability to stand out that truly means we belong? In today's society, it's all too easy to feel like we need to fit in, with the pressures of social media telling us how to look, think, eat, and dress. Increasing social pressures to keep up with the latest trends, I think it's safe to say nearly every teenager has felt like they don't belong at some time. However, is that really such a bad thing? All too often, I felt out of place in a room, from being the youngest person in the room by a good decade, the only female voice, the only person from a rural area. The list of examples are endless, and all too often, I feel the need to fake it till I make it, and the pressure to be something that I wasn't. However, I quickly learned that when you can't change your situation, you change your perspective, and that being yourself is much more important than fitting in. Instead of trying to change who I was because I felt out of place, I began to change my perspective, asking questions like, why am I the only young person in this room? How can we empower more female voices? And why are all views not represented in this room? Before you can understand what belonging means to me, you need to understand what belonging meant to those who came before me. History is shaped by those who stood out, by those who made their voice heard in a room that tried to silence them, by those who were fearless and unapologetically true to themselves. What if belonging isn't how we are viewed by others, but rather how we view ourselves? I've grown up in a post-conflict society, and my life is a result of the peace process, a process that never would have come about without those who were made to feel as if they didn't belong. The Women's Coalition was founded in 1996 as a result of frustration with the toxicity of local politics following almost 30 years of conflict. These women were regarded as some of the most proactive peace builders and change makers in society today. However, they didn't always belong in this field. They were operating in a politically divided and historically troubled environment and were addressing deep-rooted gender inequalities in a society that was really defined by political and religious tensions. It was definitely an uphill battle. Gaining equal representation for women in politics and decision-making processes was definitely a challenge. At this time, women weren't viewed as belonging in politics, and they didn't try to change who they were to fit in with the system. They didn't try to change their views or quiet their voices in order to fit in. They were unashamedly themselves, and because of this, they discovered the true meaning of belonging, knowing that you deserve to be there, even when everyone tells you that you don't. Fast forward 25 years later, we still find ourselves nationally in a situation where women have to fight to have their voices heard. My constituency where I live only elected their first female politician this year, and my local area in the council prior to this year's election had only one female on the ballot paper. Being both a young person and a young female in politics and activism has been far from easy, and there's many times where I've been made to feel as if I don't belong. In times where I have felt out of place and been encouraged not to speak out, I've had to change my view of belonging. So the dictionary definition of belonging is a feeling of being comfortable as part of a particular group because they accept you. However, I don't think we can ever truly belong until we accept ourselves for who we are and we refuse to be anything else. In situations where you feel like you don't belong, you need to ask why. Why do so many barriers exist for young people like me? Why is action not taken to remove these barriers? So I stumbled into activism completely by accident. I come from an area where politics is not talked about at all, and young people aren't encouraged to get involved. In addition to that, I've always been a naturally shy, nervous person, which was really enhanced by the COVID pandemic. From the very start, I felt like I didn't belong in my social action journey. So I was completely shocked when I got the call to say that I had been accepted into the Northern Ireland Youth Assembly. I couldn't even name a political party, never mind experience interacting with politicians and voicing my opinion. I had never felt more out of place in my life. At first, it was really difficult. The imposter syndrome really set in, and because of it, I nearly missed out on so many important opportunities. I nearly didn't run for election with Youth Parliament because I didn't believe I had a chance of getting in, and the same for other groups that I'm involved in. But I was reminded of the woman who came before me and decided to push myself out of my comfort zone, and I'm really glad that I did. Belonging is a journey of self-discovery. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you want to say. I never could have seen myself in this role. I had an idea of what a politician was in my head, and I absolutely did not fit that. But I knew I had my own views, my own ideas, and my own things to say. So I realised I didn't have to. As long as I knew what I stood for, I knew I belonged in that room. As young people, we need to stand out. We need to belong even when everyone is telling us we don't. We need to make a difference, be seen, and be heard. The rooms where I haven't belonged are the rooms in which I've made the biggest difference because I've ensured every perspective and every view is represented. Belonging is about breaking barriers. I've since fought for young voices to be heard in situations where young people, especially young women, were excluded. I've worked to progress the peace process and young people's rights under the Good Friday Agreement, eradicate the financial barriers to education, raise awareness about mental health, and work to combat violence against women and girls. If you're the only female or young person in the room, or if you ever feel like you don't belong, make it your mission to represent the views of all young people who aren't there to speak for themselves. Make it your mission to push for meaningful change. Make it your mission to change the system and not yourself. Find belonging in yourself and not in others. The rooms in which you feel like you don't belong are the rooms where you belong the most because your views, ideas, and your voice needs to be heard. Belonging is about breaking down barriers to ensure everyone can enter that room. Maybe you don't fit in, and that's okay, because you will bring ideas and perspectives that nobody else can. Thank you for listening to that, and I hope you've all taken a message away from that.
And I totally agree with everything that that speaker just said. But our third speaker this evening is Robin, and Robin is a program manager at the Ernest Cook Trust, one of the UK's foremost funded funders and providers of outdoor learning. The Trust vision is for an environmentally engaged society with an increased with an increased connections to nature. We want to address the fact that Britain currently has one of the lowest levels of connection to nature and associated levels of well-being in Europe. Such disconnection has significant implications for health, social inclusion, education, and environmental stewardship, particularly for underserved young people who tend to spend less time in outdoor spaces and nature than their peers. Robin managed the iwill Match Fund program for environmental youth social action, the Green Influencer scheme, which has recently ended delivery in July 2023. She will share findings on nature connection and well-being and the importance of feeling of belonging to allow young people to care for the natural world.
Okay, Kiara, I'm ready to go when you are. It looks like we might be having some trouble getting the slides up. They're coming. Okay, I'm ready to go. Brilliant, thank you. Thank you for that introduction and good evening, everyone. As Bill did say, my name is Robin. I'm Programme Manager for Youth-Led Projects at the Ernest Cook Trust. And I'm really excited to be here amongst some really incredible and inspiring speakers and thinkers to talk about some learnings that we have from our recent iwill Match Funded programme around belonging and its importance. The Trust ran a 3-year programme between 2020 and 2023, centred around connecting young people to the natural world and facilitating them to take action through youth-led environmental social action projects. This is called the Green Influencer Scheme. We reached over 7,000 young people across England by the end of the scheme. We targeted underserved communities and young people. Those young people were 10 to 14 years old, as these areas are also concurrent with low levels of nature connection. By 2023, in the end of the programme, 74% of the young people on the programme had come from these areas. As part of the programme, young people took part in youth-led social action groups in their area. They were facilitated by environmental and youth work specialists and were encouraged to learn about climate and biodiversity issues and to create and deliver social action projects for the benefit of their community and the environment. I want to talk about the theme of belonging, of course, and what young people told us about its importance. Specifically what we found out about the importance of a feeling of belonging to nature and how to create that feeling, and similarly a feeling of belonging to community and the importance of that for young people, and what they told us about that. Firstly, I just talk about nature. As we know, current nature connection levels, which are measured by the Nature Connection Index or the NCI for young people, are very low, and they dip specifically around the 10 to 14 age range. Which speaks to a real alienation from the natural world around that age, and it doesn't pick up again until around the age of 30. We surveyed young people using the NCI at the beginning of their experience on the scheme, and we found that young people on the programme were exhibiting lower than those averages that we just saw scores for nature connection when they started working with us. And this also went hand in hand with low levels of well-being and low levels of participation in new social action. We surveyed again at the end and found the opposite. Young people had significantly increased levels of nature connection and levels of well-being, as well as motivation and passion to carry on social action after their involvement with the programme. When it comes to the significance of those results, Natural England talk about the statement, "I feel part of nature," or I would say, "I belong," as the most important when it comes to encouraging future action for the environment. For the Green Influencer Scheme, young people showed the most significant increase for this statement. Compared to other programmes with similar aims studied by Natural England, this programme had one of the most significant increases in that statement. So how did we get to that sense of belonging? Young people told us they loved just spending time in nature to think and be, as well as learn new skills and practical skills. They also found that seeing how environmental issues were connected to other social and political issues helped them connect in different ways and with different causes. Why is this important? Young people told us that they were feeling less anxious, and they discovered that nature was a way that they could feel calm. And in addition, taking meaningful action helped them create a hopeful future, or help them believe in a hopeful future. We also know statistically that a feeling of belonging is proven to be the most significant to encourage future action. Secondly, I want to talk about belonging to community. Community outreach was a key part of the project. Groups painted murals, they created new green spaces, they spoke to their neighbours and peers about environmental issues, and they campaigned for less waste and litter in their areas. We know that young people are feeling more lonely than ever, more isolated than ever. Surveys and qualitative evidence from the beginning of the programme showed us that young people felt unsure of themselves and of others around them, and at times unwilling or unable to engage with their peers, families, or neighbourhoods. From talking to young people at the end of the programme, we heard that they felt more like they knew their area well, they felt more confident to speak to neighbours and friends about things that they cared about, and they felt proud of their area and their community, and more like they felt like they belonged there. We heard stories of young people building gardens and inviting in their neighbours, intergenerational conversations and interactions, and young people learning more about those that lived around them and inspiring others to take action too. Wait for the next slide. Communities around the young people were also impacted by feeling more connected to nature and to each other. We have a huge amount of stories and quotes from community members who are reaching out to work more with young people, who have more faith in young people and their abilities, and therefore in the future, and are enjoying more green spaces that have been built for them, and opportunities to be together and speak to those that are around them. How did we get there? How did we get to the sense of belonging to community? Young people said that connecting overwhelming global issues with local achievable things and things that affected them and the people around them helped them create opportunities for community connection in their lives. So worrying about carbon, they created gardens. Why is that important? Young people told us that they felt less isolated and lonely as a result of knowing more about their community and the people in it. And they felt they were gaining more confidence and more resilience as a result of this. I'll just wait for the slide to go on. I must be behind. Apologies. Well, I mean, that was the end of my the last slide is just me saying thank you very much for having me, and I thank you for letting me whiz through everything that we learned in a very quick time. We do keep an eye on our website and our social media for when we publish full reporting outcomes from the scheme. And we hope to spark more conversations when those do come out about the importance of creating a sense of belonging to nature as a precursor to meaningful action and to ensure the well-being of young people. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Robin, for your presentation. Great to hear about all the great work that your organisation are helping to fund. And particularly I picked up on their, through the projects that they're engaging in, the reduction in loneliness and feeling more connected to the community. So absolutely fabulous work. Anything to add, Bill?
Well, I would just say keep up the good work, really.
Let's see some love in the comments for Robin, please, people. Let's go. And we'll move on to our next presenter. So up next, I would like you all to give a warm I will welcome to Esther. Esther is currently a member of Minds Young People Committee and the Youth for Health Network, and is passionate about ensuring the voices of young people are heard. She's excited to be an iwill ambassador and looks forward to seeing the path that takes her down. So without further ado, I hand over to Esther.
Hi, I'm Esther, and I'm excited to be here and to do my slides. So I'm going to be talking about belonging and what belonging means to me, and I guess my journey with the word belonging and what it means to the people around me, because I think as I've gotten older, it's changed for me and what I've defined belonging as. So when I googled belonging first, I realized that it was defined as an affinity to a place or a person and how you fit in. But I agree. I don't think you can define it that way, because I feel like it kind of traps you into a bubble. But then I just asked the people around me what they thought, and some of my friends thought of it as their identity, as a secure feeling of, okay, these are my people and it's part of them, so they belong in a certain area and they belong to certain people. Whereas when I spoke to other people, they thought about it as clarity and being able to see in 2020 vision, which is the best type of vision that people know. But it was an understanding that, okay, I'm on the same page as other people and everyone understands what I'm going through. I'm not alone, which is a nice way to think about it. And I also wanted to know what more of my friends thought. So I asked other people as well, just because I found it hard to just define belonging, in my opinion. So some of my friends thought about it as it being okay to be quote unquote different and weird, and being able to express yourself in many different ways, dressing up and not being the odd one in a room. But we all agreed in a way that belonging is a sense of community where you're all different, but you all belong. So these houses are all different, but then we all agreed that we can all be a house. We all belong, even though we're all different. That's how we all define belonging. And you can belong to different things. You can belong to teams and hobbies, to movements, to bands, to your own environment, to your area, like Manchester, which is where I'm from. So we agree that you could belong to different places. However, a bit about me. So if it comes on. So my issue with belonging is that growing up, I moved around a lot. So all these groups and areas and schools that you would belong to, I didn't feel like I belonged, because I felt like I was having a bird's eye view of everyone belonging and forming these nice little groups and areas of where they belonged, but I couldn't find one. I tried to do sports, as I lived in a sporty area and people would do athletics and stuff, but I just couldn't. I wasn't athletic and I wasn't extroverted. So I couldn't find an area where I was like, this is for me. However, a couple of years ago, I did NCS, and doing NCS, we held a fun day, and I realized that, okay, I like this, and I like speaking to different people. I like the idea that I'm not belonging to a specific group, but I'm belonging to a cause, so to speak. I'm belonging to something that will help my community. And I like the idea that where we found an issue, we were all working hard like a crane to kind of make the issue a little bit smaller, and making the load, the problems in our area just a little bit smaller altogether. However, when the pandemic hit, I realized that my ideas of belonging had changed, because even though we were all going through it together, the feelings of loneliness were hitting me, were hitting all of us as individuals. So I thought, oh, okay, you know, my idea of belonging to maybe a movement has changed because I can't see the movement and I can't feel like I'm in a movement. However, it also made me realize actually, if what I'm feeling is like I'm missing people, then there are other ways to be connected to people. And I wanted to help other people still. And I want to be part of that team, which led me to continue volunteering, but I guess volunteering in a different sense because we're in a pandemic. So I decided to be an emergency responder at my hospital, which is where we helped people by bringing them what they needed, patients. So we delivered their gifts, kind of like a delivery driver, which is why I like this image, but we delivered people's gifts to them, delivered their necessities and what they needed. And it was nice to feel like, okay, I'm connected and what I'm doing is bigger than myself and it's not just me, because I realized that I liked to belong to more than just one thing. And it led me to do other volunteering opportunities and other social action things, like, for example, being part of the NHS Youth Forum, where I met different people and I realized that we could all belong to something because everyone cares about something, like I do, like we all do, but I wanted to be part of something that would help other people. And when being part of the NHS Youth Forum, we all cared about healthcare. And when that finished, I wanted to be part of something at my university to help on campus and on site. So we worked to help young people that didn't have the opportunities to come to uni. Maybe they didn't understand that their schools didn't teach them about university, or they weren't being offered these extra support systems. And it's all led me, I guess, to being part of being an iwill ambassador now, where I'm able to learn about different ways that we can all belong, even though we're all supporting different movements and campaigning for different things. And I guess just in conclusion, finally, right now, my current definition of belonging would be planting seeds that you want to, that it'd be planting seeds that you hope grow into things you can be proud of for other people rather than now. So planting seeds for the future, and we all want the future to be better than what it is now. And yeah, thank you.
Brilliant, Esther. Thank you very much for that. Loved your sort of sentiment that you can belong in many different spaces. I think it's great, that message of planting seeds for the future and that almost that legacy as well, which really rings home.
Yeah, I totally agree. But our fifth speaker of the evening is Dr. Martin McMullen. And for over 25 years, Martin has had a commitment to youth development, equality, and fairness. This includes local, national, and international synergies and collaborations to improve the lives of young people and their communities, and in building peace. Dr. Martin McMullen is currently the Chief Executive Officer of Youth Action Northern Ireland, a leading youth charity, making a significant difference to the lives of young people and their communities by providing unique, life-changing opportunities. And Martin joins us now.
Thank you very much, Bill, and to Matthew as well, and good evening to everybody. Just let me know when you want me to start. Okay, and I'm off. So thank you everybody for having me here this evening. I'm Martin McMullen. I live in Belfast in the north of Ireland. I will start my belonging exploration with you talking about St Martin's in Lancaster, where I studied community youth work and where I learned really to know myself, accept thyself and be thyself. And by that I mean to be an authentic and real gay man. Fundamental to my sense of belonging is my family, and particularly my immediate family, my two brothers, my two sisters, my mum and dad, who are fortunately still alive. This also incorporates, though, my nephews, my nieces, my extended family, through my partner, Paul McQuillan, as well, a really fundamental part that keeps me a sense of belonging. These are some pictures of me with my partner, and also there one with my little dog Benji. And I feel a sense of belonging with my partner Paul because there's a sense of security, safety, love, but also a sense of adventure as well, and that interdependence that we have together. This is Benji. Benji was one of the little unwanted dogs during COVID and was left in a kennel up near Derry. And so he's a new addition to our lives, but he brings so much laughter and care and joy in abundance. And he literally bounces about the place. He's one of the most sociable little dogs. But for him and as part of our family, there is a pure sense of belonging. My friendship groups are really important to me because as children, we were always on the move and very unsettled. And I had my first friendship at the age of 13. And since that time, I have really cherished friendships that have come my way from St Mary's in Muckerfeld and St Louis in Ballymena. Since school, it's been through work and through wider social connections. Really important to me is my faith community. I'm a Catholic and I attend St Coleman's Church in Green Island. And one of our partners here, Jane Gribben from Volunteer Now, popped into the church recently, as you can see in that picture there on the left. It's a welcome, open and inclusive church, even though it's an aging congregation, and they welcome us as part of that church. I feel a sense of belonging to the area that I originate from in North Antrim, in the north of Ireland, and this is up around the Antrim coast. Lots of little sheep there, as you can see, really important to me. I had many family holidays in Ballycastle, and recently we bought a rural property there. That little property you can see with snow, but it's a great place for belonging. I feel a sense of belonging to my Irish identity, and I'm very proud of Irish culture, and I'm very proud of Ireland and the resilience that we have held over many a year, particularly during the conflict and subsequently. This is us having chats over a pint of Guinness with my cousin and some donkeys in the background there while enjoying a pint of Guinness, of course, as well. I also belong to the Eurovision community. It's really important to me. This is where I first experienced diversity and inclusion on a wider scale. And I felt part of a wider movement in the world beyond my local community. I feel there's always a significant moment and belonging together on the night where we're united by music at Eurovision. Really importantly, since 1997, I have belonged to the organisation that I'm CEO of, which is Youth Action Northern Ireland. They have invested in my development, and I owe that sense of belonging that I have to the organisation. We're an NGO charity, and we have a collective belonging together, which is important. Thinking about young people or key stakeholder, through the work that we do with youth work, young people have the opportunity to develop friendship groups that they might not have in their everyday lives, where we invest in youth spaces so that young people can regain the joy of youth and feel good with one another when dealing with a lot of the anxieties that the world presents to them. Young people also don't always have supportive families or carers, but obviously families provide support, shelter, love, belonging, etc. But for many young people, they experience hardship, poverty, family breakdown, whatever. So in our job as youth workers, we try to, I suppose, create a sense of belonging for young people. In terms of community, it's really important that we nurture volunteering, altruism, for example, and pro-social behaviours among young people, such as #iwill and the work we do through Volunteer Now. Youth work is relational and social. It supports connections and supports young people to be part of their communities and to be recognised and appreciated as assets. Within my organisation, I have a board of directors, of trustees who provide amazing support to me as a member of their team. We have a joint responsibility together as myself as the chief executive and they as board of directors. And again, that provides a sense of belonging and security. The senior leadership team here at Youth Action are phenomenal. We're quite a new team with lots of changes. They're positive, they're courageous. We have a sense of comradeship. We trust one another. We care about one another, and we have connections, not just in the work environment, but outside the work environment as well. And we all share a passion for improving the lives of children and young people. So just about the senior leadership team, right across our organisation, we would have about 42 staff from youth work, administration, management and finance. And the crack, as we say in Ireland, is amazing. Together, we all work really, really hard, and we're continuously committed to improving ourselves to bring out the best in one another, but also in the lives of young people. I also have a sense of belonging in the community youth sector through networks such as Network Youth NI, where we try to repair and rebuild our sector, which has gone through a bit of a divide. But we have a drive for sectoral transformation. I feel a sense of belonging outside of my organisation in the wider community youth sector. But not only that, youth work does not operate in a silo. It's about how we ally with others. So, for example, we ally with the LGBTQ sector, women's sector, Black, minority, ethnic, Asian, and indeed peace building as well, which is really important as we continue to emerge from conflict. So that allyship is really important in supporting one another as we continue to develop. I also feel a sense of belonging with our cross nations youth work across Great Britain and Ireland. So across Scotland, England, Wales, and the south of Ireland, we have a cross nations youth work partnership. And that creates a sense of belonging where we're all united together, no matter what happens in this part of the world. And finally, tonight, I feel a sense of belonging with Pecha Kucha. This is my first time being part of it. And I feel a sense of a community already by listening to the previous speakers, and a sense of belonging. And hopefully I will be with you in the future as well. And thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Martin. I met Martin in 2012 whenever I was studying community youth work, and he was really inspiring back then, still is to now, and has helped me along my youth work journey. And what I really enjoyed about Martin's presentation this evening is it was very personal to him, which is great to see, because sometimes in that field we don't really share our personal stories. So thank you, Martin, and great to hear how you're developing belonging through youth work here in Northern Ireland and working with partners across the whole of the UK and Ireland. Everyone, we'd like to introduce then our next speaker. So everyone show some love in the comments, please, for Millie. Millie is 15 years old and will be talking to you about her story of how social action connects young people and makes yourself and others belong. So really looking forward to this. And Millie, please, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Hi, so I'm Millie. As Matthew introduced me, I'm 15 and I've been an iwill ambassador since 2022, and I'm very excited to speak to you all today. So my PowerPoint is on how youth social action connects us all and belonging. And so basically I'm going to focus on my story and how I felt connections to people and how I felt like I belong through the social action that I do. So belonging is a word that is very personal to me in my social action journey. It's something I define as connection, community, inspiration, inclusivity, and friendship. It's all things that I have met throughout my social action journey and something that I feel is very, very important. So growing up, I always cared about the environment, and it was something that I would question my mum about and debate with her over tea. You know, I would watch the news and find out things about the environment through that. I created leaflets to go above the bin saying, this is what goes in recycling and this is what doesn't. And as I grew older, I realized that this was going to pose kind of an issue to me, because I made helping the environment my entire life. Climate change is something I always talked about, and the people that were my age didn't really understand why I cared about it so much. And so I really struggled to find what my mum called my people. She said I could find them in college, but I wanted to find them quicker. So when I got to year 7, I joined a youth group called Young Rangers. And Young Rangers is basically a local scheme. It's a group of people, young people who love the environment, and we all get together and help farmers do their job sustainably. So we built this wall, and belonging is something that I first felt at Young Rangers because we all loved this wall, and the wall meant a lot to me because everybody else loving that showed that they shared the same interests as me. And so I really felt like a sense of community and like I connected to those people. This is Ellen, who I met at Young Rangers, and she's what I call the heart of my social action because she's been there through it all. And I think she's one of the best examples I have of how you can make connections that last forever through social action and how they are super, super meaningful. The real beginning for me for my social action was when I wrote a letter to my teacher. We were doing a topic on deforestation in geography, and she set us an assessment on paper. And my little environmental brain was ticking, and I thought, this isn't right. So I sent her a message and I said, why are we doing it on paper? And she loved that I was against this, completely shared my interest, and said, we need to start an eco club. And after extensive talks, we decided it would be a small group on a Tuesday afternoon, and everyone would be able to just come and talk about the environment, talk about David Attenborough, and create arts and crafts that were sustainable. So it was very, very small to begin with. Then we met these people, and these were the people that loved the idea of our eco club and decided that it needed to be more than a club and it needed to be something bigger. So these people helped us form it into a business. And these people also really, really care about the youth. And I think that's really important in making us feel like we belong, because adults have the power to give us power, and that makes us feel like we belong. It makes us feel heard. So from talking to these men, we managed to form our club into Eric, and Eric was just the business we started. We got given a cleaning station by Locosoco, and we would sell these cleaning products through the school. This got us noticed by the local paper, and then we got a Green Flag Award, and we got funding to build on the business. And with this funding, we created a website, which is the Future of Humanity, and on here we sold eco-friendly products and things like that. And so this was sort of the beginning of our business becoming bigger. And at this point, I come back to belonging, because I felt on top of the world. All my hobbies and everything that I had built up over the years was all of a sudden becoming this one big project. And so it was so important to me, and I was forming all these connections with these new people that cared about the same things I did. I was finding my people. And so I just wanted to mention that there. The Speed project was a project that we got enrolled in. We were noticed by the government, and they decided they wanted us to be the trailblazer school in this project. And this would link us internationally to schools in Greece, Croatia, and Germany, and lots of different companies. And through this, they wanted us to teach those schools how to start their own business like ours. And so in doing that, we decided we would fly over to Croatia, and there we would share what we had done and help them do the same. And they could tell us what they had done and ask us questions and things like that. So going to Croatia for me was amazing, because it mixed my love of travel with my love of social action, and it was just me feeling myself, my completely true self. And while I was there, I got to talk to people from all over the world who all shared the same interests as me, and it was so interesting because this was abroad, overseas, and it still sat in the same sector. These are the members of Eric. So of course we've got Ellen there, and then Melissa and Kitty. And I got to know these better as well in Croatia. And these are now other connections that I feel will last a lifetime and have made me feel like I truly belong. And they are very, very genuine friends that I feel I will have forever. And then, of course, doing all of this work got me into iwill. And iwill, I think, is so important when talking about belonging, because I feel it is the heart of belonging in itself. It's so many different people, and we all advocate for different things. We all have a different background, we all have a different story, but we all come together with a shared love of social action and the want to drive change. And I think that's so special, because even though we are all completely different, we all come back together as a community, and we are all connected. And so iwill is something that has made me, and I'm sure many other people, feel like we belong. So thank you for listening. I'm very, very sorry that I dumped so much information on you, but I have a lot to say about belonging. And so if you have any questions about anything I said, then feel free to email me, and thank you for listening.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Millie, for that. Really inspiring at only 15 years old that you've done so much in your short life already, and really great to hear about the business you started and all the work you've been doing. So absolutely fantastic. Well done.
Yeah, it's really great stuff. But we're coming on to our final speaker of the evening, and it's Zizi. So previously a self-published author of miscellaneous memoirs of the Mad, is an experienced mental health speaker and has spoken at the Institute for Mental Health, the Royal College of Psychiatry, and I'm all mixed up today, and the NHS Confederation Mental Health Network. She has spoken at TEDx events in 2021 about suicide prevention and complex trauma she has encountered. She's an iwill ambassador and award-winning mental health advocate, known to speak internationally in front of the Crown Princess of Denmark. She's the CEO of Emotion Dysregulation in Autism, a mental health charity for autistic young people, providing social action and peer support. And Zizi has done a pre-recorded video that we are now going to watch.
Hello, my name is Zizi and I'm an iwill ambassador. Today I'll be talking you through my Pecha slides of intersectionality and belonging. I hope you enjoy. First, I'll start with the ways that I was marginalised. So, I'm a care leaver. That usually means it's harder to get into university and it's harder to find housing. I moved out of home when I was 13. The way that I made myself belong after that marginalisation was that I reached out to my care leavers team at the university. I managed to access really great support. I ended up engaging in social action and spoke to the all-party parliamentary group on care leavers. I made the most of my city's care leaver offer. I even had a film made about me, about my care leaver journey, along with other care leavers. I talked about my journey throughout being in care, being in residential children's homes, and how that was for me, how it was difficult, but actually I thrived and triumphed through that. Another way I was marginalised is that I'm autistic. I grew up in a South Asian family that didn't understand autism and didn't understand my behaviour. I was made to go through an exorcism because my family thought that my behaviour was due to a jinn. Really, it was just autistic burnout and meltdown. I wasn't possessed, I was just really struggling. The way that I made myself belong was that I decided to be the person to others that my past self needed. I became a youth mental health advocate, speaking internationally to different organisations and also the Crown Princess of Denmark. I also set up a mental health charity for autistic young people. It's called Emotion Dysregulation in Autism. I really hope you check it out. Another way I was marginalised is that I have severe mental illness. I had psychosis and was sectioned for 4 years in psychiatric intensive care units. As a result, I spoke to the CEO of my old mental health unit when I just left the ward, and I said, you know what, this unit, Parkview Clinic, it's not fit for purpose. It needs to be better. I think it should be renovated. In a few weeks, that CEO went to find £4.6 million at the back of the couch and renovated the whole unit, not just my ward, but the whole hospital, just from my request. I'm also a female founder and social entrepreneur, having my own charity. I felt alone, and so I went on the University of Birmingham's prestigious Elevate programme, which is for other entrepreneurs who are working in business or social enterprise. I was awarded a scholarship for this programme and received £15,000 towards the charity. I'm also South Asian, as you can tell. I've experienced health inequalities and racism. I'm really underrepresented in the autism and youth mental health space, particularly around severe mental illness and advocacy. To stop that, I spoke at an NHS Confederation conference with the Mental Health Network about health inequalities and being a person of colour in doing mental health advocacy. Like I said, I have psychosis and experienced inequitable access to what I call a life worth living. What I did to overcome that was speak at the International Association for Youth Mental Health in Copenhagen, where I presented in front of 700 people and the Crown Princess of Denmark. Here I created a global peer support program and talked about my lived experience. It was so empowering. Finally, belonging, it doesn't come from other people. It's innate. It comes from within you. I didn't feel safe anywhere in the world. I didn't feel safe in myself. I was so traumatised from my childhood that I didn't feel safe anywhere. I had to learn to feel safe in who I am. I had to learn to feel safe in who I wanted to be. After that, everything else fell into place. Please follow my journey. I'd love to hear from you. Please follow my charity, Emotion Dysregulation in Autism. Thank you very much. Like I said, I'm an iwill ambassador and I'm really passionate about social action, so I hope you follow my journey. Thank you.
Wow, what a way to finish off the evening. So many great speakers. I think we take from Zizi's, I know she's not here with us, but how she turned her personal experience of it being so a negative and turned that into a positive through all the great work she's done through her social action has been absolutely amazing. So we've now come to the end of all of our Pecha Kuchas for this evening, and we are now going to close the session off. So we just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has attended. We hope you found the session to be fun and enjoyable. Thankfully, there wasn't too much chaos that surrounded it, and everything's worked relatively smoothly. I say this now, and it's probably going to stop working. Touch wood that it doesn't. I'd like to say a big thank you to Sammy, Lauren, Robin, Esther, Martin, Millie, and Zizi for their inspiring perspectives on what belonging means to them. Today's session is just one of the many events and activities that are being delivered for this year's iwill Week. So please make sure to visit the iwill website, iwill.org.uk, to see the full listing of events. The next event is taking place on Friday, the 24th of November, which is themed Louder Together, Sharing Learning with the Power of Youth Charter Signatories. Before I hand over the bill to conclude this evening's events, can I ask the participants click on the Have Your Say button at the bottom of your screens. We want iwill Week to be the best it can be, and the only way we can do this is with your feedback or comments. You may have so that we can improve future events. Sorry, I couldn't read my own writing there a second. On the other hand, you may think that we've done the most amazing job this evening and want to share the love. Now, over the bill to take us to the end of this evening's proceedings.
So if you've enjoyed the session today, please tell people about it by sharing it on your social media, tagging at iwill_movement, hashtag iwillweek23, and hashtag power of youth on all social media channels. Anyone can join the hashtag iwill movement, so we invite young people, adults, and organizations to visit the Get Involved section of the iwill website. That's it from us, and thank you again for coming to this great event.